Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Sunday School Review. This week's Sunday School lesson is entitled The Word Heals, and it's taken from John, the fourth chapter, verses 46 through 54. We are still in the book of John. The Apostle John is the author here. And John was one of the 12 disciples of Jesus. And John was an eyewitness of Jesus' ministry. And the book of John focuses on evidence that Jesus is the divine Son of God, that is, God in the flesh. Now, we have two outlines here. The first outline is requests of a father, and that is verses 46 through 50, actually 58. And the second outline is the responses of faith, and that is verses 50b through the 54th verse of the fourth chapter of John. Now, let's talk about the first outline here, which is entitled A Father's Request. Now, this is a test of this nobleman's faith. Jesus heals his son. And in the 46th chapter, 46th verse, 46th verse, where our lesson starts, it says, So Jesus came again into Canaan of Galilee, where he made the water wine. Now, as it says that, so primarily Jesus is returning back to Canaan, and it, as the A of 46 says, where he turned water into wine. Now, this is Jesus' first miracle, and there was a wedding celebration. The wine ran out, and at the request of his mother, he intervened and he turned water into wine. Now, 46b says, And there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. Now, as it says, this was a rich, powerful person. He was a royal officer, this nobleman. His son was sick in Capernaum. Now, let's go to 47. And when he heard, that is the nobleman, when he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. That is his son. So this rich, powerful person here, he faced a crisis. Okay, Jesus had the reputation of Jesus healing the sick, people with all types of illnesses had went out. So when this nobleman that lived in Capernaum heard that Jesus was in Canaan, he traveled from Capernaum to Canaan That's about 20 miles. So that's about a day's journey. Okay, so this man was in crisis. His son was at the point of death, as verse 47 tells us. So this nobleman, he demonstrated great faith. He believed that possibly if Jesus could get to him, he would heal him. Okay, let's go to 48. So this nobleman traveled from Capernaum to Canaan, where Jesus was. That's about 20 miles, about a day's journey. Okay, let's go to 48. Then said Jesus unto him, except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. Now, the idea is that uh, people like to see signs. They like to see things happen, okay, visibly, okay. But true faith is not based on sight. The scripture says we walk by faith and not sight, okay. So true faith is not based on sight. What Jesus said, except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. Okay. In other words, you don't need to see signs and wonders to believe. Just believe on his word. Okay. Let's go to 49. The nobleman said unto him, that is, said unto Jesus, Sir, come down ere my child die. In other words, come down here to Capernaum before my child die. Okay, so he had this idea that Jesus need to come and perhaps touch his son. Okay, so notice this. He said, "Come down here, come with me or us to Capernaum, and do something for my son because I'm in a crisis situation. My son is near dead." Okay, let's go to 50 now. And this was Jesus' response to the man when he told him to come down here. Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. Okay, so Jesus said, Go thy way, thy son liveth. In other words, it's not, Jesus was basically saying, it's not really necessary for me to go down there to heal your son. Okay, I can just send my word. He said, Go thy way, thou son liveth. Now, we go into the second outline, which starts the responses of faith. And incidentally, this is the kind of faith, what we're going to read about. This is the kind of faith that Jesus wants us to have. Now, is 50b said, and the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him and went his way. In other words, the man exhibited great faith. He took him at his word and he left. There was no dialogue, well, you need to come down and you need to touch him and all of that. No. Jesus said, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word and that Jesus spoke, and he left. He went his way. He went back home. Okay? So it was just that simple. He believed and obeyed. That's what Jesus wants us to do. To believe and obey. Don't worry about signs and wonders. Just take him at his word, as this man did. He just took him at his word and he left. As verse 50b says, the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him and he went his way. Okay, now let's go to 51. And as he was going down, in other words, as he was on his way back home to Capernaum, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. As I said, it was 20 miles. So he was headed back home. And his servants met him and told him, thy son liveth. Just as Jesus said, thy son liveth. Now, here comes the confirmation in 52. Here's the confirmation here. Then inquired he of them the hour when he began to amend. Okay. And this is what the servant said. And they said unto the nobleman, yesterday, remember, yesterday at the seventh hour the fever left him. Okay. Let's continue with the confirmation. So the father, that is the nobleman, the father knew that it was at that same hour, not an hour later, but at that same hour in which Jesus said unto him, thy son liveth. So, in other words, as I said, this is the type of faith that the man demonstrated, great faith, and this is a mark of true faith. Just believe and obey. When Jesus spoke the words, go thy way, thy son liveth, the man turned around and went back home. His servants met him. They said, your son liveth. He said, at what hour did he begin to amend? They said the seventh hour. That's 1 o'clock. So the man said in verse 50, so the father knew. It was confirmation. He knew that it was at that same hour in which Jesus said unto him, thy son liveth. Jesus did not need to go and touch the man. Now, Jesus was healing all over Galilee. True, that's how they knew of the fact that he could heal. But he was touching people. They were bringing people on stretchers to him. He was touching them. But Jesus told this man, go back home. Go thy way, thy son liveth. At the same hour he spoke it, it happened. According to the servant, that the seventh hour, which is 1 o'clock, that's when the fever broke. And let's go to 53b. And himself believed, and his whole house. In other words, the nobleman, he and his whole house believed. So that the son was healed when Jesus spoke the word. The son was 20 miles away. Capernaum and Canaan is 20 miles apart. So the son was 20 miles away. But the son was healed at the moment, at the same time, the same hour that Jesus spoke the word. The royal soldier believed and obeyed. And that's all Jesus asks of us. Don't look for signs and wonders. Forget about looking for signs and wonders. Just believe the word. And 54, verse 54 said, this is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he came out of Judea into Galilee. Remember again when we read in the first verse, that is the 4 to 6 verse, that the first miracle that Jesus performed was also in Canaan, where he turned water into wine. This time, he healed from Canaan to Capernaum. The sick son was in Capernaum. That's where the soldier, the royal soldier, was from. And he inquired of Jesus to come and heal his son. But Jesus told him to go thy way. Thy son is healed. And this is what Jesus wants uh, us to do. So faith, true faith is simply believing and obeying. Forget about sight, that you need to see all these signs and wonders. No, you just need to believe and obey. And that's our lesson. It's very simple lesson, and I guess the key would be believe and obey is what constitutes true faith. We'd like to thank you for watching today. We ask you to join us next week for another edition of the Sunday School Review.